is former delegate and now current Berkeley County Commissioner John Hardy. I have to get used to introducing you in a whole new way, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you all very much for having me.
You came bearing gifts.
I did. I brought you guys some homemade, true Italian, West Virginia Italian pepperoni rolls. The recipe was given to me by a friend of mine who has a nonni, an Italian grandmother, and you guys know I'm a Viking, so my background is in that area. So I conquered
pillaging.
the Roman. My people conquered the Roman Empire. And then I also brought you guys some homemade peanut butter cornflake cookies and some chocolate covered Rice Krispies. So we made a lot of cookies at the house yesterday.
You're a good job, man.
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
Now, to put history right, they did conquer the Roman Empire, but only in a very limited area.
Yeah.
They did not go all the way down.
Well, we took
Rome.
what we wanted. We took what we wanted around, the water. We went to all the ports and we took what we wanted.
And you took England.
We took it. We sacked it. We took it all. So
that's what you did back
we
then.
were the first people in America. I don't care what the Italians say. It wasn't. We were the first people here. So.
Well, you and Leaf.
Yeah, it's my people. Yeah.
So after you got to raid and pillage all that was good,
don't forget plundering,
and plundering everything that was good about the Roman Empire, you end up with herring and lutefisk.
Yes, exactly.
So somehow that rose to the top.
Did not come away with a great cuisine. That's for sure. But a lot of fish.
Good TV series though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
Vikings, whatever.
So.
Right. You have a Mike Pushkin story.
I do have a funny Mike Pushkin story. So Mike Mike is the same all the time. Mike is he's a real hard guy to get close to, but over my years in the legislature, I became friends with Mike, and so I had a funny story. We were in health committee, and there was this little bill that had a small little repeal or something of CON. So I came up with this idea. I was like, let's just throw a grenade. Let's go in here and see if we can pass full repeal of CON with a carve out for the hospices. So myself, Mike Haidt, and Amy Summers, who was the chair lady of health, said, okay, let's just do it. So they're like, Hardy, you introduced the amendment. And I was always the guy that would put like the bonsai amendments up. And so we caucused, we pulled the health committee in and we caucused, and we didn't have the numbers. We were off by one vote. I was like, I'll get us that vote. So we come out, and I told Amy I'd give her a signal if I got the vote. So I walked over to Mike Pushkin, and I said, hey, man, Mike, vote with us on this full repeal of CON. And he's like, I can't vote for that. I'm not voting for that. I said, Mike, it'll be a good fight on the floor, man. I said, what we call, Republican on Republican crime. This will be a good fight on the floor, man. If you vote, I said, it may never see the floor. I said, but if you vote with us to get this to the floor, man, this will be some time you can just sit back and eat your popcorn. He was like, yeah, I'll vote with you. So Mike said he would vote with us just to get it out of committee. And we got it out of committee. It never saw the floor. It was killed in rules, which we figured it would be. Yeah. But we thought, hey, what the heck, we'll try. So
that's a good story, man.
Yeah. So Mike's,
We have, I think Dylan has the picture of your swearing in ceremony on Friday at the county commission. There it is. You're with your wife, Sally.
Yeah, my beautiful wife, Sally, who's been by my side through thick and thin and all my crazy ideas.
Yeah.
So and that's the clerk there swearing me in. So it was a great day. It was
on your childhood Bible, I believe.
It is. Yeah, that's a Bible that my grandmother gave me when I was 3 years old.
Says to Johnny. That was actually, I don't know why I know this. Was it on Facebook, I guess?
My wife put it on Facebook. It's very special. My grandparents were, I've lost most of my family in the last 10 years. It's been tough. I've lost my grandparents, my parents, most of my uncles, and most of the people that I was close to growing up. And so it's been kind of tough. Sometimes Christmas is, it can be a little tough. And so that's a childhood Bible that my grandparents gave me. And in the bottom of it, it says, always be a good boy. So my wife, she thought that was pretty cute. So, but I was sworn in as a delegate on that Bible, and I was sworn in as a commissioner on that Bible. So
that's cool.
It's pretty special.
Yeah. So when do you sit at your first meeting? Or
so the first meeting will be January, whatever the first Thursday. I think that's January 2nd. I think it's the first.
January 2 is a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. So Thursday is the first meeting, and I've already been sworn in. And in that meeting, we will elect the president and the vice president, and then we will work through on who's taking what agencies, who's over going to see what agencies, what boards you will sit on. Bill told me that it's typically I would take over whatever boards that Mr. Barnhart has been sitting on, and I believe he oversees the health department and the water board. I'm not sure what other, I think the Solid Waste Authority he sets on. So, I'll be interested to wherever I'm needed. I think the water board would be a good board for me to sit on with my experience in working with the WDA and the IJDC and understanding infrastructure and that type stuff. So
it's a very active board.
It is, yeah. And I'm going to be a very active commissioner. I don't have a lot to do with the day-to-day business of my business anymore. My business is kind of I'm not as involved in the day-to-day activities of it, so I'm going to be try to be a very active commissioner.
Now, let me just butt in here a second here, Bill, because you mentioned the water board. You're going to get water boarded if you don't move your car out of Hornby's parking space.
Man, nobody cares about Hornby. I see him in there.
Do you see him glaring at you right now?
I see him crying and whining. It ain't his parking spot. I didn't see no sign.
You're not second in command on finance anymore. You got no leverage over that guy.
It's true.
You used to have leverage.
I did.
You lost your leverage.
He may not even let me on the radio anymore. Who knows? He may say call Rob and just blackball Hardy.
Hey, you mentioned about a president and a vice president. Right now, Jim Whitaker's the president, Eddie's the vice president. Any idea how that's going to fall next?
I don't know. We haven't started having those discussions. I'm sure those discussions will happen. And I think they typically try to trade off every year or 2 years or so. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure exactly how that's going to happen. And even if I did have any information, I wouldn't want to discuss that openly right now until we came to a consensus. So
I had to try to get the newbie, Bill.
Let me tell you a story about the presidency. When Doug Copenhaver, Elaine Malk, and Jim Whitaker came in, they came in as a group. We also went from 3 to 5. So with one shift, it went to the majority of these folks coming in. And Tony Petrucci, even though he was an incumbent, he was kind of siding with them. I was the lone wolf, if you would. Doug Copenhaver could have very easily, because he was very popular at the time, he could have been president. Doug and I did not see eye to eye on anything at that stage, and Doug would have had every right to come in and get the election. Doug was very representative or emphatic is a better word of saying no, we should elect Bill as president. Again, I don't think he had to do it, but it's something he did, and I always appreciate Doug for doing it. He and I came from seeing opposite on most everything, just being in lockstep on practically everything.
Yeah, that'll be and I think it'll be interesting to start the process of working with the colleagues in the county commission. I've known most of them for a very long time. I'm sure that we're not going to agree on everything, and but we will work through the processes, and I'm excited. I think the thing I'm most excited about is understanding the nuances in the county and being able to take those nuances and those difficulties and the places that we're having problems, and not all just about revenue. Let's talk about other things that the county may be having problems with, and then be able to go talk to my good friend Mike Hornby, who I took his parking spot, and be able to go talk to Mike Height, and be able to go talk to my legislative friends and say, hey, listen, this is an issue. I see an issue right now with some of these elected officials that are in the counties that have these single signer accounts. That's got to go away, but that has to be changed in the legislature. We shouldn't, even though you're you're an elected official and you're overseeing a budget of an organization, there needs to be at least 2 signatures on any checks. I mean, that's accounting 101 when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars and taxpayer money. I think we could probably maybe gotten around some of the issues that we are having, and I'm not going to go into those issues because all that stuff is still under investigation and we're working through it. But I think that any of these accounts where there's money coming in and money going out, there has to be an accountability trail and a minimum 2 signatures on these accounts and when money's going out.
Perfect example is Miss Beavers in the clerk's office.
Yeah, there should be, and maybe even the second signator should not even be from that or from that organization. Maybe there should be a central organization, someone who is in the county whose job is to be the second signer or guarantor on those checks that is not in that agency and can't get pulled into that. It's hard enough when an agency has one person who is not doing things above board, but when you bring in the second person that's not doing things above board, then it becomes very hard to control. So I think if the county had an outside organization, an independent organization that's a part of the county that oversaw that, and we had second signatures or something to oversee those processes.
John, what is the current pay for a county commissioner in Berkeley County?
I'm not real sure. When I did my filing, I had to pay $456, and it's a percentage of, so I think it's $45,500. I think it was $455. So I think it's $45.5. I think.
Is there a number of hours a week you're expected to be in the office or work?
I don't know. I think your only obligation is to make sure that the county has a balanced budget and that you attend the county commission meetings. I will be there as much as I possibly can be. I plan on setting my office up and being in the county offices as much as I can. I'm going to attend all my meetings. I'm really going to invest a lot of time into the county commission, and obviously I will show up for meetings.
Constitutionally, you had to be there 1 meeting per quarter. That's all.
That's it? That's the requirement?
Constitutionally.
Yes.
Now, to the credit of the commissioners in Berkeley County, the vast majority are attend all the meetings, and also a substantial group are make it as you say. I think of Copenhagen. I think not again Doug, but also Gochenhauer, Catlett. These folks make it a full-time job. Now, some folks like Whitaker has a business; he cannot make it a full-time job, but he's at all the meetings. He's all his board meetings. So they're very conscientious. That's not true in all counties, though.
Well, I know some counties, like Berkeley County has a meeting once a week. A lot of counties, they meet once every 2 weeks. Sometimes they meet once a month.
Yeah, Jefferson's twice a month.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a leadership academy training that was put on by the Association of County Commissioners. And I knew a lot of the stuff that they were going through, as my time in the legislature, but it was nice. Met county commissioners from all over the state. And it's amazing the problems that some of the other counties have, and which I was pretty aware of, but how they're facing those challenges and, the differences in budgets. I talked to someone from Preston County. I think their budget was like $2.8 million. So it's a pretty small budget. So,
but to Berkeley County's credit, and going back as far as I can remember, they always worked collegially and they worked in a very positive direction. There were no factions that would be pulling in opposite directions. You put your views on the table, you had an honest discussion, but you came out with a positive direction. We don't see this in other counties.
Well, I'm hoping that that's continued practice in Berkeley County. I think county government should be boring. County government should not be on the front page of the paper, and it should be very boring, because the county commissioners, we're really just administrators. We don't make policy, or we just kind of administrate the county. We just kind of make sure the county is running, the bills are being paid, and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Mr. Gilstrap.
There's a great program around here. It's run by the Chamber of Commerce, I believe, called Leadership Berkeley. I'm a participant in this, and most recently we met with the sheriff's office, and then the fire department the fire service is organized under what larger? It's the Emergency Services Board or something like that.
Yeah, well, there's a fire board and there's an EMS board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want you to know that the 1% sales tax is pretty much being counted on. It's been spent 5 or 6 times over again just talking with these folks.
Well, the 1% sales tax has not made it out of the legislature, so let's don't put the cart before the horse.
That's my way of saying, where do you stand on the 1% sales tax?
Yeah, so, the first thing that has to happen with the 1% sales tax is home rule has to be given to the counties. That can only come through the legislature. I don't know what the current flavor of the new legislature will be. When I left the legislature, there was not a lot of interest in giving the counties home rule. I don't know if that will change with the new legislature.
Despite the fact that you all ran on returning power locally.
Yeah, but John, you were never for home rule.
I was never for home rule, but now there's a new twist that's come to home rule with being the public referendum. Now, I've never been against anything that went out for public referendum.
No, that public referendum has been there for weeks. I mean, years and years. That's always been attached to home rule.
No, not in the legislature. It hasn't. I mean, that's a fairly new option that was given to the legislature in the last 2 years. Just started talking about home rule with the public referendum, and the public referendum being spelled out exactly where the money was going to be spent and what organizations were going to get the money. Now, we're going to be working on, in July, we're going to be implementing these new impact fees that came through the legislature. That is one tool, one very small tool that the county commission is going to have to be able to kind of help slow down this growth a little bit, which so many people are worried about. We're worried about our roads, we're worried about our schools, our infrastructure keeping up with all the growth. The impact fees is a fee that's going to go directly to the developers, to the builders. I'm sure it will be passed on to the consumer, but it's one small tool that we will have in the county commission to help direct some of this growth and direct those monies. I like that, because it's a complete direct funding. So this is how it's being impacted, and this is how the funding is going. Now, the big fight is going to come is who's getting what. Now, because the fire department, the fire people are going to want some money. The ambulance people are going to want money. The police are going to want money. The schools are going to want money. The parks are going to want money. I mean, everybody's going to be there with their hands out, and we're going to have to figure out exactly how that money is going to be divvied out, and that's going to take some time. So let's figure out what we're going to collect from the impact fees, how that money is going to be spent, and then we'll see what the legislature does with the home rule. The county commission has zero effect on if home rule will happen or not.
So, as far as the impact fees are concerned, I understand when housing developments are built, that's who the developer pays the impact fees. But along the river where I live, there are a number of developments that are custom homes. So the developer provides the infrastructure, and then the people build their own homes. Who would pay the impact fees in that circumstance?
The impact fee will be exactly the same for each building lot. There's no differences. It's not based on square footage. It's not based on the cost of your house. It's not based on where you live. Any new home that's built in Berkeley County would hit the same impact fee. Now, I don't know if that impact fee is going to be paid at the time of permit, if it's going to be paid at the time of closing, if it will be paid at the time that the lots are developed. That's going to be a fight with the developers. The developers are going to want to pay it on the far, far tail end. I think it probably needs to be paid in the center. I don't think it needs to be paid when the lots are developed, because I think that gets you too far out ahead. I think when the permitting process starts for that property, that's when that fee needs to be paid.
And for the person who's finally going to build their house on the property that's been in their family for 3 generations, and they go and build the house, impact fee or not impact fee?
Impact fees will be across the board. You can't pick winners and losers in government, John.
Well, no, but it's not really a development in the sense that
it doesn't matter,
okay.
even if it's a single lot. So
okay.
I can't say that John Gilstrap has to pay the impact fee, but Bill Stubblefield doesn't. You'll end up in court and you'll be sued and you'll be wrong. So I mean, if you put some type of fee like that in place, then it's a straight across the board impact fee for new residential construction. Anyone who's built, no, it won't be for additions or anything like that. But if you're building a new structure, then you're going to pay that impact fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is something that the public has asked for. That the public, everyone I talk to, tells me how worried they are about roads and schools and the growth of the county and how fast the county is growing. So this is a direct impact of what we are hearing from voters, what we're hearing from people of Berkeley County, and these is directly money that's collected from people that are impacting our infrastructure, our roads and schools.
Well,
but it's
and
not
my
just
understanding is with the impact fees, they still have not determined where those will go. It is possible to direct those impact fees in different parts of the county based on where you're trying to control growth, is it not?
Well, there's a study being done right now. I'm sure we're paying some outside consulting group that's doing the study, and then they will come back to us with the facts and figures. And then there's some legislation on state level that directs how impact fees are to be spent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there is direction.
We keep using the term control growth. I don't think impact fees are designed to control growth. It's to be able to lessen to mitigate the growth, but it's not to control growth.
Right. And earlier on there's an impact fee on water and sewer. They don't call them impact fees, they call them capacity fees. Yeah. But now for a new meter, for a new water meter is about $5,000, and for a new sewer tap it's close to the same. They're both somewhere between $3,500 and $5,000. I don't want to misspeak here. But those are the fees that you're going to pay now if you put in a new water service or a new sewer service.
But Bill, if the impact fee is $10,000 or $12,000, it is possible that would help to control growth because you might not have as many potential home buyers with a price that's.
I'm sure the higher the price goes, the less people. But again, it's not these. It's more to mitigate.
It's mitigate. I agree with that.
But let's very quickly. We've talked about the home rule and the referendum, and we've talked about impact fees. One is very directed on how it can be used. That is impact fees.
Yes.
If we do eventually get home rule and the referendum and increase sales tax, that is not directed. That would be totally open to the county commissioners how they want to use it, unless they put it in the referendum.
And I'm sure the only way that referendum ever hits the ballot is if it's laid out.
If it's laid out.
I don't think the voters will pass I don't even think the legislature will pass the ability for a blind 1% sales tax like the municipalities have. I think that they will make the counties be directive in that language of how that will be spent if that goes into effect. And like I said, let's don't put the cart before the horse. We got a lot of people in the county that are excited about this 1% sales tax. Some people were upset about this 1% sales tax. This thing has gotten nothing. It's gained no activity in the legislature yet. Like I said, we have no idea what the upcoming, I think it's the 87th legislature that we're getting ready to go into.
Yeah,
what the flavor is.
But the home rule everybody thinks the home rule and the 1% sales tax are synonymous.
They're not.
They're not. Exactly right.
Yeah. John, congratulations on your new office.
Thank you. I will do my best to protect the taxpayers' dollars at the best of my ability as a county commissioner. Thank you all very much.
We salute your baking skills as well, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And your tie, your Christmas tie, and John's Christmas tie.
Thank you, sir.
Kind of like a face-off, right?
They are, yeah. You and I, not as much so.
We're festive inside.
Hardy family will be celebrating Festivus tonight.
By the way, you have to wrestle Dylan right during this commercial break, Bill.
Hello to friends you know.